Today we talk about alcohol. The guy has terrible PR in the skincare industry. Can it be that he's innocent, or maybe he's not so innocent? Well, let's see. Let's talk.
Oh!
Here at theagetraveller, we talk and we shake up ideas to see if they stand. In this series You've Been Fooled, we always go after ideas that can make us understand better and make wiser choices in skincare. My name is Custodio. I work for 30 years in the cosmetic industry. I've worked for brands such as Elizabeth Arden, Chanel, La Prairie. For the last 12 years, I'm doing product development, creative development for a Swiss brand called Swiss Line. And today, we're going to talk about alcohol to understand if this is something you should avoid in your ingredient list, if all alcohols are created equal, and whether they are good, bad, so-so, depending for your skin. So let's drink a glass together here in Zurich, in Switzerland. The weather is warm, everybody's sitting outside, more or less. Quarantine has been lifting off and becoming everything more flexible. So it's good to feel being back to life. I hope wherever you are in the world, it's also the case and you are beginning to enjoy life again more at ease. And then maybe alcohol comes in the equation. When it comes to skincare, we all became a little bit chemists and doctors since this obsession with ingredient lists. And don't take me wrong, I don't think there is anything wrong with ingredient lists. I just want to say that just because a word is in the ingredient list, it doesn't mean the ingredient is there in the same sense. And there is no better ingredient other than alcohol to showcase and to understand exactly what I want to say. Because the word alcohol refers always to a chemical shape. There is like an umbrella here which has some common denominators, but which can be applied to exceedingly different chemical compounds. When we talk about alcohol, we talk about a molecule which is always involving an hydroxyl shaped compound, which means that you have two atoms of hydrogen and oxygen which are bound, and they are the end of a chain of atoms of carbon. Is this exciting? No, I don't think so, unless you are a chemist, a pharmacist, or somehow you are curious about those things. As I'm much more curious about biology and philosophy as the two most important areas of human knowledge, I will just leave all that to the chemists, to the genius that can play with these molecules and make exciting skincare. So in a way, it's as if we are comparing water, milk, orange juice and Chanel No. 5 just because they are all liquids. Just because they are all liquids doesn't mean that they have anything to do with each other. By the way, you know Custodio means guardian angel. So today I want to be your guardian angel so that in the end of the video you can simply extract from the ingredient list those alcohols you might want to avoid. So there are names like cetyl alcohol, isosteryl alcohol, cetiaryl alcohol. All these are fatty acids. They are actually more akin to butter than to alcohol. And when you see such alcohol words in the ingredient list, you should for sure know that they have nothing to do with the ethyl alcohol, the alcohol you buy in a pharmacy to disinfect wounds. These alcohols, if anything, they are much more liked by super dry skin, super sensitive skins, and actually not so welcome in very oily skin because they can actually prove to be comedogenic exactly because they are so rich. Just to prove the point that not all alcohols are alcohol, which actually don't involve the name alcohol, but they are chemically speaking, alcohols. Ingredients such as glycerin, which is the safest, friendliest humectant, barrier, film ingredient used in skincare as much as water almost. And glycerin, chemically speaking, is an alcohol. Sucrose, which in the end it's sugar. That's why, metabolically speaking, alcoholic beverages and sugar, they have so much in common, and you can have insulin responses to both of them, because basically sugar is an alcohol and alcohol is a sugar in some sense. I hope I'm not butchering chemistry too much. As the angel I am, and you can trust my wings now, I spend some time just to fish out. So then, what are the alcohols in the ingredient list which are alcohol? In case you want to avoid them, these are the ones. And in the end of the video, I will give my personal opinion, what I avoid and what I eventually accept or even like. When you see ethyl alcohol or ethanol in an ingredient list, we are talking about the volatile, eventually drying, disinfecting alcohol, identical to the alcohol you can buy in a pharmacy as a disinfectant. Okay? Ethyl alcohol and ethanol. And these are nowadays not the most commonly seen, but if you see them, they are the same, identical. The most common in skincare you'll see is going to be alcohol denat, which is an abbreviation for denaturated, which means that something was changed in the nature of alcohol, or SD alcohol, which stands for specially denaturated alcohol. So these are again synonymous, depending where you are in the world, depending the regulatory nomenclature for ingredient list, they can come as alcohol denat or SD alcohol. And in the end of the day, these four words, ethyl alcohol, ethanol, denat, and SD, they represent exactly the same chemical compound and the same type of alcohol. Alcohol denat is alcohol to which methanol has been added, so that is only used topically and it's not ingestible. Again, for taxations, because there were periods in history of the world where alcohol was banned or highly rationed, and then taxes were, and still today, taxes are applied to alcoholic beverages, which not necessarily skincare wants to carry. Instead of obsessing with words, the presence of a word in an ingredient list, we should always look at the formula like a bigger picture and the balance. So where is the alcohol sitting? If you see the alcohol, meaning those 5 alcohol words, which are alcohol, if it sits on the very bottom of the ingredient list, it's most likely carried by plant extract, which everybody loves. Just for extraction of plant extracts, very often alcohol is needed to make that extraction, and then the raw material will carry a fraction of alcohol, and that's why it will sit on the bottom. So that's where I draw my line. I don't obsess about the presence of alcohol. Even last week I was talking about vitamin C. Very often alcohol is used because it enhances the penetration of vitamin C. That's one example. So alcohol, it's also meant to enhance the penetration of some beneficial active ingredients. 2 more things. There are some words around, and they have been for quite a long time, that even under very low concentrations, alcohol can lead to cellular death, to cellular impairing, that simply determines that cells cannot survive in contact with alcohol. This is a reality in vitro. It's not necessarily a reality in vivo. This refers to tests which are done with pure alcohol in a petri dish, where cultures of cells identical to several cells from skin, so imagine an artificial skin, it's kept under a layer of alcohol. The same test can be repeated with water, and often, because the water will not allow enough oxygen for those cells to breathe, after the oxygen dissolved in the water is extinct, those cells will also die because of being covered in water. So please be reminded that our skin is not a petri dish, and 0 point something of alcohol. And it's funny that I'm almost preaching alcohol, while at Swiss Line, all the formulations we are doing, we have about 60 products. There is one product which contains alcohol. So actually I'm not very sympathetic towards alcohol, but each one their own. Just because I'm not sympathetic, I don't want to say that it causes cellular death. And there are valid products containing alcohol, some of them for good reasons. So where I promise to close it, where do I draw the line about whether I like alcohol in my products or not? I would go product category and always where the alcohol is sitting. So I accept that the alcohol sits higher in the formula if we are talking about two product typology. One would be a foundation, so a makeup base, a makeup foundation, or a primer. This type of products very often will rely on alcohol to have a very good texture together with volatile silicones. So there we have to be reminded that that primer or that foundation will be the last layer on top of all the skincare. So don't forget that exactly what makes these alcohols drying is the fact that they are volatile. So if you're applying 1% or even higher than 1% alcohol on top of your serum, your day cream, your SPF product, it will simply not touch living cells before it evaporates. So I would say never obsessing about alcohol in a foundation or alcohol in a chemical filter. If you have an SPF, very high SPF, which is a chemical, eventually a physical, but it's more needed for chemicals, also for dissolve and to have that non-greasing touch in the end. And why do I say it? Because you've eventually heard, and if you didn't, I will link one or two videos about SPF, where I'm always saying I'm a SPF psycho. So I want an SPF to be nice enough, sexy texture enough, that you apply enough, even if that sensual texture and non-oily finish relies on the presence of alcohol. So, and that's it. I hope this video was useful. I hope you have your check ingredients written down, and then you can check in your own skincare what you might consider or not consider. Hey, now that you know that I'm an angel, why, for God's sake, don't you consider liking, clicking the bell and subscribing the channel so that every week we can be together? Think about it. Don't think, do it.